We start with Liverpool and the polarising figure that is Florian Wirtz. He signed for a potential £116 million in the summer. He's failed to live up to the hype as he struggles to find his role for the champions. Gary Neville said he looked like a little boy over the weekend, but his national team boss has shifted the blame back to his club, saying that all the fuss would go away if his teammates could just score the chances that he creates.
Kann, wissen wir alle. Und dass so ein Spieler in dem Alter auch mal eine Phase hat, wo eine kleine Delle ist ganz normal. Ja, wir können jetzt nicht erwarten, dass der über 3 Jahre am Stück immer dieselbe Leistungsfähigkeit hat, sondern wir müssen ihn da alle gemeinsam ein bisschen unterstützen, helfen, dass er seinen Kopf frei kriegt hier und dann Liverpool auch vielleicht die Dinger, die er mal vorlegt, dass sie einfach auch mal eine reinschießt. Wäre auch eine Idee. Ja, weil so ganz wenig vorlegen tut er ja nicht, nur die schießen halt irgendwie gern die Dinger da nicht rein.
A very good morning to David Bentley. Right, has Wirtz been quite unlucky this season? A classy player like yourself, but he has actually created a lot of chances. I think that's probably Nagelsmann's point, that he creates the chances. It's not his fault that they haven't been finished off.
Yeah.
So is he getting a bit of unfair criticism?
I think he is. He's a very technically gifted player. Unbelievable to watch when he receives the ball. Even all the kids out there, if you're watching a player that scans the pitch, scans before he receives the ball. He's so naturally gifted on the ball. But Liverpool are going through a bit of a sort of transitional period of the way they're playing. A lot of their attacks were built from the fullbacks. You know, Trent's gone, used to start attacks, and Salah as well. They need to sort of redefine the way they sort of play as a team and how they play through him. When he's in the hole, you're going to have to, as a team, everyone's got to be geared up to give him the ball in good areas and then feed off him and make the runs. I think he's slightly unlucky of where Liverpool are at now within this transitional period. That you're not really seeing the best of him, but he's an unbelievable player. You see the way he's received the ball there. He's so talented. The fans and and everyone, like the pundits and that, we have to stick by him. Yeah, we have to stick by him.
Were there similarities with Luka Modric at Tottenham? Because similar type of player. I think Modric was sometimes shifted out to the wing, like Wirtz is being, and we know what happened there. He came good, very good.
Yeah, exactly the same. When Modric came through the door, unbelievable, exactly the same. The way he receives the ball, he scans, he knows what he's doing before he gets the ball. Unbelievably technically gifted player. He can set the tempo and the tone of a football match, and you have to stick with him. Xavi Simons at Tottenham, very similar. They're pushing him out wide. He's going to have to adapt to the physical nature of the Premier League. When you play in the Premier League, that's one thing. When you're up against sort of physically capable players, everyone's physically capable, and it takes you time to adapt and to find your feet. But
yeah, I suppose you'll have seen that throughout your career. I mean, well, you played abroad as well, but when players who've come across to the Premier League or to England, how difficult can it be for some players to adapt?
Well, you've got to think about it as well. They've got their families, haven't they? You know, they've got to come in, they've got to adapt to a new culture, a new way of living. I've got full respect for the guys. When I was playing, probably didn't respect it as much, but they've got to adapt to that, not only the football, but the lifestyle. And certainly players that are that technically gifted, they have to be in a good place. The team have to feed them the ball. They have to be there receiving it in good areas. They're just not them players that are going to run around and show flying to tackles and so on. You have to give them the ball and you have to give them room to play. And the team has to all be geared up for them to be a success.
I suppose that is something that hasn't been taken into consideration there. We've talked about how Wirtz maybe isn't performing as well as he would like to, whereas his manager's saying that actually the players around him aren't doing their job. As you've just talked about there, coming over to a new country, the kind of personal side of things. We don't know what his family situation is, but coming over, things that we don't see and don't talk about. New country, and again, in terms of settling down, that sometimes that will never come for a player.
Well, that's what, when they come, it's the price tag as well. When he's come for such a large amount of money, people want to see him hit the ground running, but he's only 2 or 3 months into the season. You've got to allow him time. He hasn't lost that ability overnight. Liverpool have to, as a club, have to support him. We have, you know, as media, support him. We know how much ability he's got. He just needs to settle down. Liverpool need to settle down, and Liverpool in a bit of a transition on the way they play football. They've reverted back in recent games to the old way last year, where they haven't adapted to players that have come in. But as soon as them new players come in, you have to adapt and find your new way of playing, and that comes from every player, all the coaching staff and the manager setting that system and that way of playing through a player of that ability.
After 5 games, people were saying that Liverpool were definitely going to win the title. Right? They had a brilliant start to the season. But after 11 games, they've played 11, won 6. They've now lost 5 at 8th and at 8 points off Arsenal at the top.
Yep.
Is their title race over?
It's looking like it. I don't think they could. The Man City and Arsenal in particular, they're looking too strong. I think if Liverpool, 5 games is probably too much to win the title. I was the same before the season, looking at them, looking at who they signed. You're thinking, they're bang on to win it. But yeah, no, they probably find themselves too far off to be able to really challenge and win the title this season.
Right, Sky Sports have partnered with Finalysis, an app where passionate fans share their opinions on their club. If you want to represent your club, scan the QR code here or visit the Sky Sports app for more details. We reach a Liverpool fan, Lola Katz-Roberts. Lola, good morning to you. Great to see you again. Where do you stand on Florian Wirtz? Has he been good enough or have his teammates let him down?
Well, I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't getting a little bit frustrated. You know, you sign someone for that much money, you really do expect an almost instant impact. But there are a lot of caveats. You know, he's a young player, he's never played in the league before, and there is that old cliche that you have to give young players time. As David was saying earlier, you know, we're a team in a little bit of a transition phase. But yeah, I think I do probably agree with the fact that he's been let down by his teammates. I was just watching the highlights reel you had on there. I mean, if that Chelsea chance, the one he sets up for Mo Salah, goes in with the back heel, we're all sitting here having a very different conversation. I think his 28 shot involvements in the league are the highest without scoring or assisting a goal. And you just need a bit of luck sometimes. You know, if just 1 or 2 of the 16 chances he's created go in, then I think we're sitting here having a very different conversation. So yeah, I am a little bit frustrated, but I do think there's been so many nearly moments, and I've seen enough to believe that it's coming.
Would it be a different conversation if his price tag wasn't as high as it was?
Yeah, of course, of course. I mean, Liverpool Football Club have never spent that kind of money before, and that's part of what David was saying about how, you know, in lots of ways it felt nailed on that we were going to come and really, really assert ourselves in the title race this season. When you make signings like that, it's a statement, there's no doubt. But, you know, again, he didn't choose to be signed for that much money, and that money comes with pressure. But like, you know, I think you just have to separate it a bit almost. Like, it is what it is. He's the best. He was rated as the best young player in the world, and that comes at a premium.
Yeah, in terms of his best position, we've just been like likening him to Luka Modric there, David and I, and you would never ever think about playing Luka Modric anywhere other than central, but he didn't always play centrally. Do you think that Wirtz will eventually be 100% a central midfielder, or do you try him a little bit longer on the wing and see if actually that's his most natural position?
Well, I think you know, a lot of it's down to Mo Salah. We can't talk about the Liverpool attack really without talking about Mo Salah. And on account of getting the big contract in the summer, Salah is gonna play every game on the right-hand side. And then the difficulty comes with playing Wirtz in the 10 is that carrying both defensively is very difficult. So I do think his best position is in the number 10, but until Mo Salah leaves for AFCON, potentially I think you have to play him on the wing. It's when AFCON comes along that I would really, really like to see him start a run of games in the 10 with potentially Ekitike and Isak in front of him in a 4-4-2.
Oh, 4-4-2. David, I mean, you'll have played in several formations over the years, but when you started, was it mainly all 4-4-2? Has that gone out of the game now?
Yeah, I think 4-4-2, whether you can play him in a 4-4-2, you definitely play him ahead of a diamond in midfield. You have to, the whole team has to be geared up to feed him the ball, and then he sets a tempo and everybody makes runs off him. It's a difficult one because of the transition and because of the expectation, because of the value of him that he's come in for, and because Liverpool obviously were favourites for the Premier League. It's very difficult with the position he finds himself in, but you can't play a player like that out on the wing. You need him in the middle. You need him in the 10 role.
Lola, when you say there about Mo Salah going to Africa Cup of Nations, that's not lost on the Liverpool fans. They all know that that's coming. Do you think that Wirtz can thrive, as being the main man when Salah goes, or is that going to put extra pressure on him when he's already struggling with the pressure of his price tag?
I don't think he needs to be the main man. He's a young player, as I said. I think the one that I really, when we talk about frustration and big money and being the main man, it's Alexander Isak for me, who really, really needs to step up when Mo Salah goes away to AFCON. I think it will help Wirtz because you've got that thing of not carrying two attacking players that don't do a lot of defensive work. I know Wirtz runs a lot, but he is very lightweight. So I think what I'd really like to see, what I think could bring the best out of him, is a 4-4-2 diamond with him in the 10. Let's take it back to the SAS days of Suarez and Sturridge, and he can play the Coutinho role. I think that'll help him. I mean, I don't think it's going to put more pressure on him. I actually think the pressure is really on Isak to provide.
On Friday, when I asked you if you lost the game against Manchester City, would the title race be over? I think you said no. Do you stand by that?
I do, because time is still on our side. There's 2/3 of the season to go. There's no doubt it's very difficult. But, I think people are neglecting the fact that big deficits have been overturned before. Arsenal trailed United by 13 points in 97-98. They trailed by 12 points in February in that season. United were 10 points behind us, painfully for me, in 2008-09 and went on to win the league. City were 10 points behind us in 18-19. So I don't think it's delusional to say that with an 8-point gap to the top of the league, we could still win it. But with the caveat that I wasn't expecting us to be so poor on Sunday. I really wasn't. I thought things had turned around with the performances against Villa and Madrid. And there's just no margin for error now. No more excuses after the international break. We've got what looks like on paper a good run of fixtures, and we've just got to go and start winning football matches again.
Yeah, Forest at home after the international break, then West Ham away in the Premier League. Lola, thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Manchester City totally and utterly outplayed Liverpool.
And did that surprise you a little bit?
It surprised me, the dominance that they had, yeah. And other than maybe 5 minutes after half-time, where Liverpool looked as though they were trying to get back in it, that was it from Liverpool. I mean, we laughed at Spurs yesterday, how it took them so long to get a shot. Well, Liverpool were the same today.
Yeah.
73 minutes, Donnarumma made his first save from Szoboszlai. I mean, that just tells you how this game went. And there's only one thing that really annoyed me about the game, was Arne Slot sat on his hands in the first half and changed nothing. Liverpool were getting completely and utterly overrun in the middle of the park, and he did nothing. You've got Mo Salah standing wide on the left-hand side. He might as well have been sat on a deck chair watching what's going on. Florian Wirtz doesn't know how to defend properly, and they were getting completely outnumbered in the middle because Doku was using his brains, and he was either wide or sometimes he'd come in. I mean, he was all over the place. And he did nothing. I mean, at least affect the game. Tell people to come in, get more bodies in the middle of the park, and so they have to go at least on the outside. But do something. You can't just sit there and let the thing happen. Because all he did was sit and let the game pan out in the first half the way it had from the first whistle. You can't do that. That annoyed me more than anything else. Listen, Liverpool, at the end of the day, got what they deserved, nothing. They couldn't string 3-4 passes together at any stage. And when you're doing that against a City team that at the very least keep the ball well, then you're never going to get a hold of it yourself. So, yeah, this was absolutely 3-0 is absolutely what it should have been.
He seems to be getting the decisions the wrong way around, doesn't he? We sat and talked here. Stevie thought Gakpo would play. Yeah. We didn't know if Wirtz was going to play. But he's the type of player, and certainly at this moment in time, because he's not playing as we know he can from his Leverkusen days, that you should be getting more of a tune out of him like they did against Real Madrid at home. But away from home, when you need a bit more physicality against one of the better teams who have got a lot of possession, you have to say that's another managerial error in playing Wirtz in this game and not Gakpo. And Stevie mentioned changing things. He did change it, but not until half-time, when he put Ekitike a bit further wider and he put Wirtz in that false 9, and they got a little bit of joy, but it was short-lived. It was short-lived, and I was just surprised in the first 20 minutes how standoffish they were, and basically allowed City to do what they wanted with the ball. And yeah, the decision probably went against them with the Robertson ducking and the offside from the Virgil van Dijk header. But I think if you're putting that up as an argument, which I don't think many people are, as to that was a game changer, it really wasn't. It really wasn't a game changer, because Liverpool were second best for 80 to 85 minutes of this game, and that's a worry. But on the other side of it, City were good.
Yeah.
You know, there's no Rodri. Nico Gonzalez did a great job. Phil Foden picked up some good spaces. Doku was excellent. Bernardo Silva playing in the right and floating about was excellent. Erling Haaland was his usual self. Nico O'Reilly, he's not even a fullback, the young lad, and Mo Salah never got a kick. Mateus Nunes, he's a midfielder. He's playing at right back, never got under any pressure. All these things in the City side, you said, well, they've got two non-fullbacks playing in the fullback positions, and we're supposed to be one of the best teams in Europe. Surely we can get at them. They never got at them. Yep. And so City had it easy. They played well. They passed it well. They looked dangerous. They looked pacey. They were excellent. And Liverpool, I'm afraid, what is it? John Champion said on NBC, 7 defeats in 10 in all comps, 5 and 6 in the Premier League. So the Villa and the Real Madrid games have sort of gone already. All that good work.